Hi everyone, my name is Bianca. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing my October wrap up for you today. So I read 16 books this month. The first book I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is by Holly Jackson. It was recommended to me by Olivia Reads a Latte here on BookTube. It was a great book. I loved it. It was 5 out of 5 stars for me. This book is about Pip, I believe her name was. Yep, she's a senior in high school, and as her senior class project, she is going to investigate the murder of the pretty and popular Andy Bell, who was supposedly murdered by her boyfriend, Sal Singh. She never believed Sal killed Andy, so for her project, she's going to try and prove he didn't. I love this book. I loved Pip. I thought she was really tenacious. She really stuck to her guns, even though everything seemed to be going against her, even though somebody seems to be trying to silence her before she goes and discovers what really happened to Andy Bell and Sal Singh. Again, 5-star read. Really loved it. Next, I read A Discovery of Witches. This is my monthly favorite. I love this book. It was another 5 out of 5. Another recommendation by Liv from Olivia Reads a Latte. I love this book. I'm currently rereading it so I can annotate it. I have a couple of flags. This is about a reluctant witch named Diana who is studying at Oxford. She's studying alchemy. She meets a vampire named Matthew because she pulls out a book from the library that's been missing for centuries. And now everybody's coming out of the woodworks so they can get this book. You have demons, you have vampires, you have witches who are all stalking Diana so they can get their hands on this book. Again, I love this book. I now want to finish the rest of the series. There are 3 other books in this series, and then there's another book about a member of Matthew's family. I really recommend this book. It was a good read. I enjoyed it. There's also a TV show that is out for the first season. The second season is starting in January, I believe, of this coming year. I recommend watching the first episode of the series. That's what Liv recommended, and it really made me appreciate the book more after I watched the series. So watch the first episode, see if you like it, and then you can dive into the book. It's a really good book. Here I have City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This was recommended by Alexandra Rosslyn on YouTube. She did it for her group read for October. I like this book. It was 4 out of 5. It is a middle grade. It is about Cassidy Blake, who sees ghosts. She had something happen to her, and as a result of that, she can now see ghosts. And her best friend is also a ghost. So in this book, her parents are ghost hunters. So she's being moved to Edinburgh so that her parents can film their TV show. And while in Edinburgh, she encounters a ghost that isn't so nice. I enjoyed it. I liked it so much that I had to pick up the sequel. So we have Tunnel of Bones, also by Victoria Schwab. This is another 4 out of 5. This is again about Cass and Jacob. They are now in Paris, where there is a mischievous, really strong ghost that Cass has to help move on in some way. So, again, love this. I love Cass's character. She's a strong young woman. She is your normal teenager. You can tell that she struggles with the different things she's being forced to deal with, but she pulls through in the end. And it's a really intriguing and thrilling read. And because I've enjoyed these books so much, I want to pick up more Victoria Schwab. The next book I read was a graphic novel. It was an ebook, so I will try and put the picture in here, called Cheshire Crossing by Andy Weir. It was based off of some of those classic books that we knew as children. You have Alice from Alice in Wonderland. You have Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. You also have Wendy from Peter Pan. And they are all coming together at this boarding school called Cheshire Crossing, where they learn to control their powers for crossing over into other worlds. They go off on adventures into different worlds. And as a result, these villains that they've dealt with in their worlds cross over into other worlds and try and make some mischief. So this graphic novel shows how they come together, learn to trust each other, and solve their problems. So this book, nothing like the original classics you think of when you hear Alice in Wonderland. Alice is a completely different girl. She's grown up. She is a little hardened, along with Dorothy and Wendy. So do not go into this thinking you're going to see the characters that you're used to. It is nothing like that. It was a nice 3 out of 5 star read. It was enjoyable. I wouldn't call it great, but I enjoyed it. It was a nice break from reading all the books that I was reading this month. The next book I read was Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Lost Adventures. This was a collection of Avatar comics. I started reading these comics because I wanted to read more about the Avatar world. I love the cartoons, so I also wanted to read the comics. They were enjoyable, and I definitely want to keep going with them. Next, I read Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel by A.W. Jantha. This was a 4 to 5 star read. I love the first part. It's based off the movie Hocus Pocus. It was great being able to see all of the characters and what their thoughts were and just get more of a view into this world was amazing. The second part, it was okay. Obviously wasn't as invested into it as I was the first part because I've seen this movie a million times and I love it and I watch it every year for Halloween. But the second part covers Max and Allison's daughter, and it follows her adventure as she repeats her father's mistakes and resurrects the Sanderson sisters again. The second part of the book is good. It's very interesting to see the representation. I loved it. 4 out of 5 stars was good. Next we have Fang by Sarah Anderson. This is an adult graphic novel. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. It's a beautiful copy. It follows a woman who is a vampire and she falls in love with a werewolf. It's not plot heavy. You're really just following their day-to-day life. But the art style is amazing. I love it. And the pictures are great. But again, adult graphic novel, so some of the jokes in there are a little adult. This was recommended by Darling Desi in her Best Spooky Books to Read This Fall video, so it was a great read. I really enjoyed it. And on the back it says, "I want your love," and then it's crossed out love and says blood. Great book, loved it. Next is another recommendation by Darling Desi, and it's Scritch Scratch. This was a really good middle grade book. I enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It started out a little slow for me, but still really good. It follows Claire, who is a budding scientist, and she does not believe in ghosts, but her dad does, and he has his own ghost tour. So one night when Claire is forced to work the ghost tour with her father, she brings home a little friend, and it is not a nice friend. So strange things begin happening, and she realizes she's actually being haunted by a ghost. So I found Claire's reluctance to accept that ghosts are real and her insistence that science wins out above all else really interesting. It was a great read. Amazing atmosphere. It was spooky in some places. I wouldn't call it really scary, but I loved it. It was a good read, and I found it to be great. Next, I read The Wiki Deep by Shea Earnshaw. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This book was on my TBR for months. I never got to it until this month. I thought it'd be perfect. It is about witches, so I thought October would be the perfect month to read it. It is about a seaside town that is visited every year by death. This town in the past killed 3 women that they thought were witches. So as a result, these 3 women come back every year and they kill the boys in this town. So I love this story. It was also a mystery. There were a lot of interesting twists and turns that I did not see coming as I was reading it, but I loved the journey of reading through it and finding out all of these twists and turns. It was a very enjoyable read. I loved the characters, and good 4 out of 5 stars. Very good read. Next, I picked up, this is just the cover, my sister has the book, but Glory, Magical Visions of Black Beauty by Karen N. Regis Bethencourt. The photos in this book are amazing. It is more of a coffee table book, but amazing. I got this book at Target. It was amazing. As soon as I saw this cover, I knew I had to pick it up. The pictures are beautiful. The stories about these kids are very inspirational. It is a great book. If you can, I would definitely recommend picking this up. It is a wonderful book. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I picked up is The Book Wanderers by Anna James. It is a 4 out of 5 star read for me. I believe I saw this book on my Libby, so I decided to download it and read it. I did listen to it a bit, and I do recommend the audiobook. It is good. But this book follows Tilly, who is a little girl who lives in a bookshop with her grandparents. And she discovers something about her family that takes her completely by surprise. And it leads her on an amazing journey. I loved this. The bookshop itself, the way the author describes it, I would love to live there. It seems like the dream place to be if you love books. There are books wall to wall. It sounds amazing. And it's amazing watching her as she goes through this journey, as she struggles with who she is and how she can handle things. And what she discovers in the end is a complete surprise. I love this book. I can't wait to read the next one, but definite strong 4 out of 5. The next book I read were the Graveyard graphic novels, volumes 1 and 2. These are the ones by P. Craig Russell and Neil Gaiman, who wrote the Graveyard book. I really enjoyed it. It follows this little boy who grows up in a graveyard because this guy kills his family for an unknown reason. So he grows up in a graveyard as nobody Owens. I enjoyed this graphic novel. It really makes me want to pick up the book and read it. It's a good atmospheric October book. I love the artwork in the graphic novel. And the writing by Neil Gaiman is great. So, great. 4 out of 5 stars. Loved it. The next book I read is Enola Holmes, The Case of the Missing Marquess. I read the graphic novel, not the book. The graphic novel's great. The art is amazing. And I originally was interested in this series because I watched the movie on Netflix. It's a great movie. I definitely recommend it. Enola Holmes does star Millie Bobby Brown from The Stranger Things. It was a great movie. I love the book. I definitely want to continue reading the series. So, good strong read, 5 out of 5. And the last book I read this month was The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. Love this book. 5 out of 5 stars. Cannot tell you how much I love this book. This follows Celine Rousseau in 1872 New Orleans. She's just arrived from Paris. She is running from her past and discovers something she really didn't think she was going to find. She's introduced to the supernatural underground where she meets vampires and creatures of the night. And she meets Sebastian Saint Germain, who really starts off as a jerk, but I loved their story. I loved how strong Celine is. She is a real strong person. She discovers that she needs to find herself and trust in herself and not bow down when other people believe that she should be and who she should be as a person. And that was one thing that I really loved about this book. After I put down this book, I had to pick up the next one, which was The Damned, and that'll be in next month's wrap up. But this was my last book for the month. I finished it on Halloween Day, and it was the perfect book to finish off my reading for the month. It's spooky in some parts, but I loved it. It was a great book. So those are the books I read this month. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.